My name is Sosene Leao, 73 years old, and I live in Utah, in Hurricane, Utah. I remember when I was a kid growing up in the islands, very poor, and it seems like everybody else has all kinds of stuff. My cousin's family has a store, and we didn't have anything. We just live off the land, and and I was thinking, today I'm thinking of when I was growing up, and the idea of even moving to the U.S. or living in places I lived in the past 50 years of my life. It's been an amazing journey. And it's really true that what you do with life is you live life one day at a time. And starting from when I came to Hawaii, I had no money, I had no family, no support, nobody to really help me financially. But the one thing I had is I realized that I had a dream, and a dream was just a little understanding that I had in my mind that I am, if I keep moving forward, take one step at a time, then everything is going to be okay. I feel that way with starting this YouTube channel because there are days I feel like I have everything to say, and then I get in front of the camera and it looks like I don't know what to say. So in many cases, it's reminiscing of my own life growing up. Coming to the Hawaiian Islands, I was always limited with where I can go because I didn't have the money to go. Many of my friends went to Asia and they had supporters, people who were behind them with their vision, and I didn't. But I have discovered one thing. One is you find out what you have in your heart really, really want to do in life. And then you find an expression of your life that you like to do. For me, when I came to Hawaii, one of the things that I like to do was I wanted to work out. I didn't have any money, so I found friends who have workout. They have home gyms, and I asked if I can come and work out there, and I did. So that led into another thing, and and I remember I was talking to some of my friends, and we were talking about Disneyland. They were asking me, have you ever been to Disneyland? And I remember what happened when I went to Disneyland. And I said to my friends, I actually flew in a helicopter from the airport to Disneyland. And when I arrived at Disneyland, there was a limousine waiting for me there. And, of course, it was because I had a girlfriend. And a girlfriend her dad was the director of flying operations with the organizations that he works with. And so he arranged for her and me to fly to Disneyland on a helicopter. And I remember I was up there in the helicopter, looking down at the city and all that. And I remember thinking, I wish my grandparents would see me now, because here was a poor island boy flying in a helicopter to go to Disneyland for the first time. I had never been to Disneyland before. And my friend, who is now my wife, was sitting next to me, and we flew to Disneyland. The limousine came, picked us up, took us to Disneyland in Los Angeles. And that was the first time I've ever experienced Disneyland. And so I was talking to these friends, but it reminds me of for you and I, wherever we are, and you may be looking at this. For me, I was looking at that time, and I have never thought, never imagined that I would go to Disneyland in a helicopter. But here I am. My story includes that time, that first time. And so you can find your next step, because you might find a girl that you like, and that girl might open the door for you. And in my case, that was what happened. I didn't marry her that time, but it was one of those phenomenal story, because I have been to Los Angeles many times, and whenever somebody said, have you ever been to Disneyland? I said, yeah, I have. And then they asked me, how did you go there? And I said, well, I flew in a helicopter. And when the helicopter got there, a limousine picked us up and took us to the to Disney World, Disneyland. And when it was time for us to leave, the limousine was there to take us back to the helicopter, and we flew back to the airport. So a couple of things. One is, you take a step. If your dream is big enough, important enough, and valuable enough to you, because who knows? I mean, right now we're in a place where there are always bigger challenges, bigger opportunities, but sometimes we don't believe in the dream, so we hold back, and by holding back, we miss a friend, we miss an opportunity, and but imagine that was the beginning of my expansion. I have been to Los Angeles, to fly to Argentina, to fly to Brazil, to fly to Europe, to fly to Tokyo, and so life has taken on a different meaning. But I want to encourage you, if you have a big dream and you don't see any way that you can make it happen, don't look for the big steps. Look for the small steps. And the smaller steps that you take, one step at a time, can open up. I told a story about how I got into meeting the former president of India when I was in India. And it was because I aligned myself with a missionary organization that travels the world. Many young people make it their point, because some of them come from very wealthy family. I never did. I was a poor kid. But as I was expanding my world, I was beginning to pick up little things here and there that I think, I can do that. And so it makes up for what I did not have as a result of my background, but they were stepping stone to take the next step. And every next step was with that passion and that desire, because it came from surrounding yourself by people of like-minded who are like you. And so that was one of the things. The other thing is, develop a skill set, develop a passion in your life that is close to your cause. There's a saying that, what is the cause that you are willing to give your life to? And so when you give your life to that cause, you're willing to adjust, you're willing to hook up with different organizations that may have the solution and the answer for you. Also, you're gonna open up to new friends that will give you input, that will help you to take the next step. That's what happened to me as I was kind of meandering in Hawaii, helping people in the local areas. The door began to open up for me to think about possibilities of what I can do myself. And I was no longer thinking of, how poor I was. I began to think in possibilities. And out of those possibilities came one step to the next, one step to the next. And before you know it, you're in the flow of things. And I can tell you, for me, it was like this was an open door and an open window of understanding how big things can happen as you and I take the small steps towards it. I made a friend in a school that I attended that became my door to flying a helicopter to the Disneyland. I went to California to find my dad because as I was in Hawaii, I started a group of people that teach the Bible and help people with their lives. And there was a lady there that I get to meet, and she asked me what I want to do, and I told her, one of the first thing I want to do is to find my dad, and she was the one who helped pay for my airline ticket to go to California. And when I got to California, my girlfriend from LA, who is my wife now, drove me around California, and we had fun doing all of that. But it was one more step in the right direction. Came back to Hawaii and decided to go to the Samoan Islands, and I went back with all of these seeds in my heart. I can do something bigger. I don't have to go back to being poor. I don't have to go back to being isolated from everything, because I was connected to this international organization. I was connected with friends and people who believe in me, who said, Susanna, you can do whatever you want to do. And by the way, one of the things that happened when I was in Hilo, Hawaii, was during this time of just starting little things here and there, is in one of the meetings that I was leading on my weekday meetings, a guy came and he sat in front of the group, and I was talking, just assuming everybody was there for a reason. And then afterward, he came and introduced himself to me, and he said, I am the dean of the Methodist Church, he's a pastor of the Methodist Church in town, but his capacity as a lay person in the church is to recruit potential young people who might have the potential and the ability to go to university and study in the Methodist system, and then come back and go back to the islands. And he said to me, I'd like to have a meeting with you. So we had a meeting, and the meeting turned out to be he was offering me a scholarship to go to Australia. One thing led to another. And I said to him, I would really appreciate if you can give me a chance to go and seek counsel and advice from my peers that I have on whether this would be the right step for me, because I was 23 at the time. So I did, and I decided that was not for me. But he said, you can go and study in Australia for a doctorate, and then you can come back and go to the islands and serve your people, which was a very noble cause. But it opened the door for me to say, if I can just do my little thing. I was just starting a little group in the island in Hilo, and ended up having a meeting like that. And this gentleman came and he sat there while I was talking to the people. And that gave him the idea that he would like to meet with me. And he met with me. But it opened another door for my thinking that I am not just a poor little islander that needs to go back to the islands after my studies, but I was offered this amazing opportunity to do that. So this is Susanna Leao. My goal in this YouTube channel is to connect with you and give you courage and encouragement, and give you don't look to the big things to happen. Look for the next small thing, and small thing can open big doors. And if you find any value in this, I would love to hear your comment. Please comment on the link below. And then also, if you can subscribe to my video, I really appreciate that, because it will help me expand my reach on YouTube to tell my own story, to encourage other people, and to make sure that that this is done. So you can subscribe. It's free subscription to YouTube on my channel that you're looking at, and comment and find out. I would love to find out where you're watching this video from, and then of course share it with your friends. I would appreciate that very much. This is Sosenele out, by the way. Bye bye.